Good evening, race fans, and welcome in to Tuesday night here on VirtualRacing.Network. You know what that means. It's time for another installment of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Tonight, it's the Breast Cancer Awareness 250 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Yes, it's not only iRacing's newest, but it is NASCAR's newest super speedway. Well, officially still motor speedway, but you get the drill. 28 degrees of banking here, so very fast, super fast lap times, and it should be a very exciting race. 40 laps in the first stage, 80 laps in the second, 165 laps overall. I cannot wait for tonight. If it's anything like the practice race last night, it should be a lot of fun. Hello again, everyone. I'm Trevor Greenfield with you, as always, here in the inaugural season for the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series, presented by Sundance Pizza. Tonight, I'm also going to be joined here in the booth. We have a couple of folks that are out, so we're fortunate enough to get Rev of RevSimShop.com to join us here tonight. He's going to be pulling double duty. He's got to be able to tackle the race control, but he's also going to be filling us in on some of the details of what goes on behind the scenes. Right now, they're out there qualifying behind us. And Rev, welcome to the booth. Great to have you. I know you're pulling double duty, but what do you got to share for us about this new Atlanta Motor Speedway? Well, I mean, I was even watching in practice ahead of time. There, you can see Carl Pooler getting a little loose coming off the turn number 4. But I was watching these drivers struggle to stay in the pack, and we'll see whether or not everybody can hold it together out there tonight. But right now, it's all about qualifying. Very nice temperatures to be working with. Just over 100 degrees on the track, so a little bit squirrely out there. But Gavin Rogers right now putting in the top time thus far as we get qualifying well underway here for Atlanta, round number 7 of season number 1. Dustin Stallings in third spot. There you see on the screen Gavin Rogers. Here's Richard Wolsifer for Limitless eSports checking in with the 4th fastest time thus far, 2 laps in. And he's done. Across the start-finish stripe comes Jared Hughes in his Chevy. What kind of time is he going to put in? How about 6th fastest? Seems like the first lap is possibly the fastest for most of these drivers. Zachary King now trying to get in his fast laps. Right now sitting in 13th after the first lap, but you see him blinking out a little bit. One thing that you are going to be noticing out there on track is a lot of breast cancer awareness paint schemes. And of course, we'll have a little bit more to talk about with breast cancer awareness, but another great endeavor by the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series to bring just a little bit of extra awareness to everyone about a great cause and something that we should all be very aware of. Zachary King only good enough for 13th place. Brendan Maddox pulling his machine to a stop. And here's Stephen Borbell about to put in his lap, yet to take a time, is last week's phenom Patrick Hernandez. There, Stephen Borbell goes to 2nd fastest with a 31.31, just 2/100ths of a second off of Gavin Rogers. And we're also yet to see Ronnie Norman taking to the track for his qualifying lap. There he sits on pit road. Will Storm and Ronnie Norman have something to say about this? We will find out here very shortly. Hear that perhaps we couldn't hear Rev. I'll make sure that we get his mic queued up and ready to go here in a short bit. But great to have, as I was mentioning, Rev joining us here in the booth, and he should be back with us here momentarily. But
here, sorry about that. I had to run real quick.
There we go. Well, we got him. And just like that, we are done with qualifying. Ronnie Norman unable to get in a qualifying time, so he's going to start from 15th. As you know, Stormin' Ronnie Norman, he can get it done from just about anywhere on the grid, Rev. So with that, we are going to go ahead and jump over to our starting grid and take a look at how they will be starting for tonight's race. The Breast Cancer Awareness 250, and there you can see it, top of the list. It is Gavin Rogers for Next Level Motorsports. A great time for him. Second place going to Stephen Borbell, his teammate. So a lockout on the front row for Next Level Motorsports. There in the second row is going to be Carl Pooler of Limitless eSports. Perhaps we'll have Ashley Pooler, part of his fan club, joining us here, rooting him on tonight. And of course, everybody who's over in our YouTube chat room, make sure to let us know that you're there. Say hello. Let us know who you're rooting on. We'll make sure to give you a shout out during the race. There in fourth position on the outside will be Dustin Stallings. Starting in fifth place will be Richard Wilsifer. And then we've got Briar Fritz joining us tonight. Brand new name to the series. Jared Hughes will be starting in seventh place. Eighth going to Brendan Maddox. Ninth to Evan Patinko. 10th is going to be Adam Buzzio, the head honcho here in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. And then starting in 11th place will be Christopher Campbell. Starting in 12th, Jeremy Clapper Newell for Spirit Racing. Kristen Bresnov going to be starting in 13th place, with Zachary King going to be starting in 14th position. Ronnie Norman, he's going to have to start from all the way back in 15th, but he's got his NOS energy drink inside of him, and he's ready to go. So we'll see how long it takes him to get to the front with his full send eSports Toyota. Patrick Hernandez, last week's Phenom, he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him as well, starting in 16th place. And bringing up the rear of the field is another newcomer in David Hall, who will be bringing that very familiar Haviland paint job and his Ford to the table here tonight. There you see one of the great paint schemes devised for tonight and the breast cancer awareness. And, certainly exciting stuff to see, out there, Rev. A lot of these guys getting behind this breast cancer awareness here tonight.
Absolutely. And one of our drivers who happens to be on the pole is representing my own mother tonight. She's a cancer survivor, a breast cancer survivor. So to Rev Mama, thank you so much. And you're important to all of us. But several drivers out there have different names on their cars. So keep a lookout during the race, and you'll catch some really important people in their lives.
Well, that is so special to hear that he's looking out for yourself and for everybody out there who's been affected by breast cancer. Certainly, even in my own life, my own mother suffering with that for some time, but so many people know those who have. So great to get it checked out early, get in, get it screened, and find out. But here we go. We know what we're going to have here tonight. That is for sure. Some great racing. A lot of checking up back here in the field as Gavin Rogers able to take the green flag successfully, but a little bit of three wide back here between Dustin Stallings and Brendan Maddox. Now starting to feel it out and get things going again. Almost a little bit of wrecking early on here, Rev.
Yeah, had me a little concerned there for a minute. Looks like we had a checkup from the 5 right off the get-go there, which jammed them up a little bit on the outside and inside.
Yeah, and it looks like the 77 of Gavin Rogers takes a back seat here as Carl Pooler of Limitless eSports brings his breast cancer awareness paint scheme to the front momentarily. And there comes Richard Wilsifer. And for a moment, it was Limitless eSports first and second.
Yeah, that's a great team there also, Limitless. I was able to be a part of them last season with the former league. Great bunch of guys. Really, truly great guys to be a part of.
Well, this is also a great time for them to be starting to put their foot down on the gas and get up there in the points, get assured that they'll make it into the playoffs. A lot of these drivers all out there competing to try to get into the chase, and you got to make it into that cut line. Carl Pooler, Gavin Rogers right now battling it out side by side here in the early going at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carl Pooler out to that lead so far, hugging that white line down on the bottom. Richard Wolsifer just behind. He too repping the breast cancer awareness in the number 56. I think we've got one around here. It's Clapper Newell, and there's a big incident. This is Dustin Stallings battered around, and it looks like Ronnie Norman able to get through that one. And it looks like numerous cars possibly involved. Adam Buzzio having to go back to the pits. There's some smoke out of the back of the number 9 of Christian Bresnik. So already an incident, and that means that Rev has got to do his duty and review the incident from multiple angles. So he's going to step away for a moment while we do our own little bit of review. Let's take a look here and see if we can figure out exactly what went down. And then we'll get a chance to possibly see some onboard shots here. This is Christian Bresnik in the number 9, and is this occurring in front of him? It looks like the 5 gets tapped there and sent around. That's Adam Buzzio who gets the raw end of that deal. We'll have to back it up here and check it out from on board with, or just over the top of Buzzio. Let's see if we can get a little bit better of a picture there. And it looks like Buzzio might have gotten turned from the number 10 of Dustin Stallings. So we'll jump back on board and see if we can tell what it looked like from the nose cam on Stallings' machine. Stallings moves to the inside, and it looks like there's just no room there as Adam Buzzio tries to close the door. Send Stallings around, and a lot of damage out the back of that number 10 machine. We'll see what a couple of these drivers saw from on board here. This is on board with Adam Buzzio. Everything going just fine up until this moment. And then he gets turned and makes contact there on the inside with Bresnik in that very colorful number 9 machine. And right over into the wall. Hard hits all around. And this one also is going to be quite the lick for Christian Bresnik. As everything's going fine on the inside, and he gets absolutely slammed from the outside. Nowhere to go except into that outside wall. He gets the car righted. And we are officially under caution for this one. Bresnik in the pits, Buzzio in the pits receiving service, and definitely not what you want to see. Rev kind of looked like Buzzio might have gotten turned there by Stallings.
Yes, he had a little help by the number 10 there. Nothing egregious, but it was enough to make somebody's day really bad.
Well, as a result, both Buzzio and Bresnik are in the pits right now taking on service. Zachary King also has taken his machine to pit road. He's been having some blinking problems, and I know that that's been something that has been brought up behind the scenes, that drivers who do have excessive blinking problems, especially at a track like this, are going to be asked to park it.
Yes, we actually have a pretty good policy here. After 20 blinks, what we call a quality blink, we ask them to really focus on getting it fixed, but that is their first and only real warning before we ask them to park. We do allow them to float to the back as long as the track isn't full.
Well, certainly we hope that he can get that fixed. A lot of times these things are outside of your own control, but as you've said, you know, it's something that affects everyone. So if you are blinking out there, you definitely are going to have to drop to the back and try and sort it out. Hopefully, the angels of the internet can come along and change some things up. Carl Pooler, right now up there in the top spot. He's going to be starting next to Richard Wolsifer. Actually, Wolsifer just behind there. And they are go here again here for the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Round number 7 at Atlanta. Pooler, Wolsifer, Gavin Rogers, Stephen Borbell and Brendan Maddox. That's your top 5. We've got some separation here as Jared Hughes and Brendan Maddox fall off the pace a little bit here. I don't know if somebody perhaps missed a shift, but a little bit of a tough start for these guys back here. Try and get it sorted out. There you see Ronnie Norman fighting in that orange and blue on the outside, trying to get some space out there. Meanwhile, back up front, this 4-pack.
Everybody should have been cleared.
And hopefully that means that they'll be able to catch back up to this group. We'll have to see here. If we take a look back here in this group, they're still fighting it out. Meanwhile, the front 4 have already opened up a 2.4 second gap over this group. So they're going to have to line it up and hope that they can get up there to that front group, because they've just lost a ton of ground.
Yeah, I didn't catch what car it was there on that restart, but it looked like he started possibly in the wrong gear, probably second gear instead of first, but that's something you definitely need to get done here.
Yeah, it's such a common thing, a common mistake to make, especially if you haven't done many of the restarts in practice. Just figuring out what is the right gear to get going again. Sometimes you forget to fully shift. Oh my goodness me. Moving, I believe it was Brendan Maddox, out of the way. And now Jared Hughes gets sent backwards as well. Now Evan Patinko at the front of this group as they head down the backstretch. Top 4 still Pooler, Wolsifer, Rogers, and Borbell, as they've managed to open up a sizable lead, over 3.5 seconds now. And this is quickly turning into a disaster for this back part of this pack here, and they're going to have to get it sorted out in a hurry if they want to have anything to say about this first stage's results. It's a 4-second gap now, 4.2 second gap. This is insane. But just goes to show you, Limitless Esports teaming up, and Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell of Next Level Motorsports teaming up. So able to get their act together, not fight with one another, and as a result, open up a massive lead, over 4.5 seconds now back to Evan Patinko.
That's a 100% result in 2 things. One, the front 4 are nut to butt. They're all together in line and they're trucking. Everybody in that second pack is side by side. So that's the buffer they're hitting in the arrow wall. And of course that restart had a slight checkup, so.
Yeah, it's just the combination of things. You really got to be on the ball. BRB Buttkicker Series, no slouches in this series. So, no room for real error. And if you're missing shifts, if you're fighting with one another while the front group is nose to tail and really forming a train, you're going to find yourself sliding backwards in a hurry. We're now over 5.3 seconds back, and the front of that back group as we switch back here. Oh, we've got a wreck. This is quite a large one involving multiple cars. They couldn't decide how to sort it out, and as a result, it sorted them out. Brendan Maddox, Evan Patinko, David Hall caught in this one, and it looked like Christopher Campbell, or no, was it Dustin Stallings, just came plowing through there. So a big wreck here between a number of these cars that were in this second pack. Of course, good news is for them, it will reform up. They'll all get a chance to do this once again, but this was not good for a number of these drivers here. Let's see if we can jump overhead and see what went down for, I believe, Brendan Maddox being caught in the middle of this. They try to go 4 wide there. Never advisable on a D-shaped 1.5-miler. 23 and the 89 making contact there. Excuse me, I think it's actually I'm reading it upside down. The 68 of Christopher Campbell making contact there, and then certainly the 96 of Evan Patinko getting involved with that. We'll take a look one more time, this time from a little bit further out. We'll see it from the infield, as it looks like they do spread out, go 4 wide. But again, this is a track where there isn't that much room. I think Ronnie Norman maybe got a fender into somebody as well. as they were coming through. And that means that now we get the fun of jumping back into the car with one of these drivers and seeing how it all looked from the cockpit. This is on board with Evan Patinko in the 96. One moment he's in the lead, and the next moment he's surrounded on all sides by cars, and the next moment the roof flaps deploy. So things go from bad to worse for Patinko. Take a look here as a number of other drivers get caught up in that mess, including Zachary King. What he saw from a little bit further back. Manages to get through relatively unscathed, avoiding the incident there. I know Dustin Stallings was not quite so lucky. Contact with numerous vehicles there as he tries to work his way through that mess. I can see, I guess that was the pace car coming out and driving right through a number of these vehicles. Now, one more on board that should be pretty interesting. Let's see if we could take a look at what Ronnie Norman saw. You can see he was lining things up to survive that mess, but still didn't quite keep it fully clean as they spread out four wide in front of him. There was just relatively nowhere to go.
Very unadvisable four wide.
Definitely, it's just not going to work four wide around this entire track. So with that, take a moment. We're going to take a quick break and find out a little bit about the butt kicker. Here we go. We'll be right back here on VirtualRacing.Network. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. We're back to green flag racing. So you can see that butt kicker is certainly something that can help you to figure out some of the feel of these race cars and get yourself a little bit of an advantage out there, picking up some of the vibrations around the track as you go over bumps and over curbs. Definitely want to check out buttkicker.com. and get some more information about how you can score one of those machines. Meanwhile, things have started a little bit better here as it's now single file. Carl Pooler jumping out to the lead once again. Richard Wolsifer in second place. Gavin Rogers in third. Stephen Borbell sitting in fourth place. And Breyer Fritz coming out and doing well in this opening round for him. Right now sitting in fifth position with his favorite beverage on the hood. Jared Hughes in sixth place, seventh, Dustin Stallings. And then you got to go a little ways back to Ronnie Norman, who perhaps sustained a little bit of damage in that incident. But it was more incidental damage, so perhaps he did, perhaps he didn't. We'll be able to tell over the length of this one. Let's go number 71, says Ashley Pooler, and thanks 71 for supporting my sister's mother-in-law on your car. Definitely really cool stuff to see all these drivers supporting the breast cancer awareness out there tonight. And of course, it's so important as really, you know, it touches everyone's lives in one way or another. And even if it's not you directly, it's someone you know. And everyone really
all
connected.
Touched by it in some way. Somebody knows somebody that has breast cancer or has somebody in their family with it. It's more far-reaching than a lot of people know.
Yeah, and so many people know somebody who's actually survived it, and just across the board, number one thing is got to get out and get it. If you think there's any chance of a symptom, which you can read about those, cancer.com or cancer.gov/cancer/breast. You can find out more about all of those symptoms. But if there's any chance there's a symptom, you need to get it checked out. Early detection is absolutely the way to nip it in the bud and be able to survive that deal. But
not only that, it affects men as well, and a lot of men don't realize that. And one of the things that you can do is do your own self-exams as a male. It's very important.
Very important indeed, and very important to keep it in mind that women, not the only ones who fight and survive this, of course. And now we've got another yellow flag on the track. Say here, lap number 40 is where we're going to for the first stage. I believe it's for Christopher Campbell, who now finds himself in the pits. So we're going to take a look and see what Mr. Campbell went through here just a moment ago. Campbell in the 68 there. Brownish number 68. Oh, wait, he gets turned as he's coming through the corner, and not entirely sure who that was, but we'll get a chance to back it up and find out here as we take a look from overhead here. As soon as we can find the camera, there we go. The 68 being followed by the number 13 machine of Jeremy Clapper Newell. And it looks like first Campbell kind of pushes Ronnie Norman a little bit out of the way, and then Campbell gets pushed out of the way himself by Jeremy Clapper Newell. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the onboard footage. This is from Christopher Campbell's onboard here. As he gets into Ronnie Norman just a little bit coming off the corner, and then he gets pretty well drop kicked there by Clapper Newell. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Clapper Newell saw. This being on board with Clapper Newell, so we'll have a front row seat here. Kind of tough to tell. Rev, from my standpoint, it looked like maybe there was a little bit of a reaction coming from Clapper Newell, coming from Campbell, who got into the back of Ronnie Norman, and his car kind of jutted sideways or maybe slowed just a little bit, and then Clapper Newell got into the back. How did you see it?
Yeah, that would be right on point. The 68 was definitely pushing the 32 in front, which got that 32 a little squirrely, and as he moved him down, of course, that naturally slows down the pushing car, and he bobbled a little bit, came up as the 13 was trying to make the pass on the outside, and created the flag.
Well, as a result, we're going to slow it down yet again for our third time here tonight. Of course, you're watching the Breast Cancer Awareness 250. Trevor Greenfield here, and I'm joined in the booth by Rev of RevSimShop.com. And Rev, tell us a little bit about RevSimShop.com. You got all kinds of good stuff over there.
Absolutely. I have a team of artists that do iRacing paints custom just for you. We do things a little bit different, We try to actually sit down with you in a Discord, make an appointment, and step by step go through your paint. Obviously we'll do other paints as well, but one of our other products we do is we offer race control for different leagues at different levels. I train everybody to be fair but firm race control. We also offer hardware for like button boxes and custom built dashes for your sim racing experience.
That is a lot of cool stuff, and was, the first thing that I personally look for is those sim boxes, and I know so many people want to add on to their rig, but it sounds like what you really do is you offer a lot of custom liveries, paint jobs, and then certainly some custom boxes, depending on what people want to do with their sim rigs. So revsimshop.com sounds like a place that people need to check out, get in touch with you for some more details.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and I keep checking the website, seeing when some of the other stuff comes into stock. So I'm eyeing it for my own sim rig as well. Here we go. We're about to get back underway on lap number 29 with Carl Pooler for Limitless Esports and Richard Wilsifer for Limitless as well. Needless to say, it would be a wonderful thing if they could get not only a stage win for Limitless, but perhaps pull down a win overall here tonight. That team going winless so far this season, but I'm sure they would love to see themselves up there in the W column. Right now, Steven.
Oh, absolutely. After this weekend, you actually had both Limitless and Next Level working together in a GTP car this weekend, and they actually did pretty good. Both teams together, 4 drivers, Adam Buzzio and Gavin Rogers, Richard Wolfesser, and Carl Pooler.
Well, that is really cool, and the 24 Hours to Daytona, big draw here on iRacing. Great to see, kind of in the NASCAR spirit, everybody coming together. Looks like we've got one sideways. That's Bayer Fritz, that adult beverage machine out there on the high side getting pushed to the back. He almost bought the farm. But speaking of the guy that could come from the back, Mr. Stormin' Ronnie Norman. There he is. I was trying to figure out how long it'd take him to get to the front. Here he is, 31 laps in, and the man has arrived. Perfect timing to perhaps...
He's sitting in the right spot for it.
He sure is, and we'll see whether he decides to pounce or he decides to sit in third, because really all he's got to do is keep Gavin Rogers in check back there behind him and get more points than he does, and he'll keep this championship fight alive. We'll see whether or not he can do that here tonight, but he's managed to storm forward and get himself up into that third spot. Fastest first sector time coming from Brendan Maddox that time, second sector from Bayer Fritz, and fastest lap overall now from Bayer Fritz back here, but he's currently sitting back in 10th place. Carl Pooler doing most of the work out here in front, though, for Limitless Esports. Richard Wolsifer, his teammate, sitting just behind. They've been working very well thus far as a team for Limitless. We'll have to see if they can keep that up for the duration of the race. A lot of side-by-side battling back here, though. Just a little bit further back, this is Brendan Maddox and Stephen Borbell side by side. Bayer Fritz now getting into the middle of that. And a number of other drivers still fighting this out side by side. They didn't learn their lesson, Rev, I don't think, from that opening stint.
No, sir. But the thing is, the attitude of a lot of these drivers is try to be as clean as possible, but they also can be very aggressive, which actually tends to be a very good thing in a race car driver.
Well, you got to be patient. Ronnie was patient. He worked his way through a couple of different incidents. Now he has charged to the outside of Richard Wolsifer. He's taken over second place. Is he going to have the momentum to carry himself around Carl Pooler? He's kind of stalling out at the moment. We'll have to see whether or not he can get back up there and get those positions.
Yeah, I think Carl's going to have a tough time now that everybody's stacked behind him.
Well, and that's the way...
outside... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that's the way it works here at a super speedway-esque track with all that drafting that you can do. If the drivers can get it figured out and get the aero together, they can get up there and challenge on the outside, make the passes you need to. Ronnie Norman moves it to the front. Carl Pooler steps back for a moment as that inside line starts to fade.
And a case in point, there you go. He sat back there. He was very patient in third, and once they started to stack up behind him, he used that momentum on the outside, just like on any super speedway. And now you see the result.
Well, and one of the issues that is brand new to these drivers, and they're still trying to figure it out, is the track heating up as the race goes on. The track heats up, and depending on where the cars have been running on the track, so if everybody's been running that inside line, it's going to heat up more. It means there's going to be a little bit more grip available on the outside, and certainly Ronnie Norman loves running that outside groove. Up 14 positions, running in the top spot. We've got just 2 more laps here until we get the checkered flag on stage number 1. Who's it going to be? We're going to find out here very soon. Rogers now up into position in second place. Watch that number 77 right behind Ronnie Norman. Stephen Borbell still in this mix as well. Brendan Maddox, Carl Pooler. That's your top 5 right now. So we've got just 1 more lap remaining. Oh, and it looks like there's a big incident involving Ronnie Norman and a number of others, but somehow they all get it straightened out. And we're still racing out here, but I know that involved, I believe, Brendan Maddox. So, big incident, but everybody appears to have gotten it straightened out. I'm not sure if anybody has dropped off of the racing pack, but we're still going. Gavin Rogers, Carl Pooler, still fighting it out here. Who's it going to be across the line? Rogers hanging on by a nose. And too tough to call for second place. Pooler, Hernandez, and Wolsifer all very close and 3 wide coming across the line. So, interesting stuff here in the final going of the first stage for round number 7 of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. A lot of fun so far. I think it's just a preview of what's left to come. We're going to take a momentary break here on VirtualRacing.Network. You get a chance to drool over some of the food that you could be eating right now over at Sundance Pizza out of Wickenburg, Arizona. Check it out in our side-by-side. We'll be back with you in just a moment. And welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Zachary King currently your top driver out there. He has been given a warning from race control about his blinking, but hopefully things are pretty well fixed, I say, just as he blinks out a little bit there. Evan Patinko sitting in second place. Jeremy Clapper-Newell in third. These drivers not choosing to come in now. They came in under a previous caution, so they'll be okay to make it a little bit further. Perhaps they're banking on another caution to be the one that they decide to stop in on. And in the meantime, you saw Gavin Rogers take the top spot in the last stage. And so we'll begin the second stage here momentarily. Again, a big shout out to those of you joining us live on our VirtualRacing.Network YouTube chat room. Appreciate it. Feel free to say hello. Let us know who you're rooting on and who you're watching. And we'll look forward to chatting with you live here on the air. And of course, feel free to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. That's how you can chat with us. And of course, you'll get all of the upcoming BRB Buttkicker Cup Series races in your feed. But in addition to that, make sure to like this video if you're enjoying what we're putting on here. And it'll get it out there to more people in the internetosphere who can enjoy more BRB Buttkicker Cup Series races. Zachary King and Evan Patinko from Spirit Racing going to take us back to the green flag. Barney the flag man waves that green flag. We are back underway here on lap number 45. We got 3 Spirit Racing machines now into the top 3 with Jeremy Clapper-Newell up there pushing his teammate Evan Patinko. And then it's pretty much everyone else. Looking back from on board with Clapper-Newell, he's got Carl Pooler right behind him, Gavin Rogers right behind that. So can't really afford to take too much off here, as it looks like Pooler going to go to the outside with Wolsifer on his back bumper. We're going to see these two work together again and perhaps come forward. Still trying to sort it out, though, and get themselves lined up. As you see, one of the drivers, Clapper-Newell, deciding to run up the track, and now he runs up into the wall, and he makes contact with Wolsifer. Wolsifer through the grass. He's going to have to get that one straightened out. He's going to get an unsafe pit entry. Really rough go there for Richard Wolsifer, who just had a big moment. We'll take a look back here at this replay presented by Sundance Pizza. Let's jump on board with Wolsifer. He's up high. You can see Clapper-Newell there. Clapper-Newell comes down on the exit of turn 4, and across the grass he goes. What do you think, Rev? Just incidental contact between these two?
It looked like the 13 got a little loose and touched that outside wall and then came back down across the 56. Well, they're calling me down to the office. I will be right back.
As I said, doing double duty. Rev has got to be in multiple places at once, so certainly interesting stuff as we see Zachary King blinking out a little bit again. We'll see whether or not he's able to continue in this race. But watching on with Gavin Rogers here in the front, all smooth sailing for the number 77 of Next Level Motorsports. Carl Pooler sitting in second. Jared Hughes now makes his appearance in the top 3. The number 98 Chevy right now looking on and perhaps thinking of a top 3 night, which would be great news for him. Stephen Borbell in the middle of this as well, sitting in the fourth place. And I think Adam Buzzio still in this race, albeit down 2 laps. That Next Level Motorsports machine that you're used to seeing up there in the top 5 or so. But right now, after that early incident, he's had to pull it into the pits and get some damage repair. And now he's running around a couple of laps down at the moment. But Gavin Rogers holding his own up front. Ronnie Norman, after that scare, still finds himself in this pack, so he hasn't drifted too far back. There he is in 8th place, holding it together quite well. Right now, trying to just hang on to this pack. Hopefully not too much damage on board that machine. He's looking at the back of Evan Patinko for Spirit Racing. Of course, Spirit starting this second stage in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But now that's all kind of gone by the wayside as Clapper Newell sits in 5th place for Spirit. Evan Patinko in 7th. And Zachary King looked like he was called off to the side of the track because of that blinking issue. But once again, one of those things that's only fair to everyone else. In the meantime, Richard Wolsifer is he still on the lead lap, or is he officially a lap down? Trying to tell what my information says right now, but I believe he is still on the very tail end of the lead lap. If we jump up to the blimp cam, we might be able to see. Yes, there is the pack coming. So not much further for this group to catch up to Wolsifer, and Wolsifer was having such a wonderful night. Unfortunately, things not really working out for him. As they come around turns 1 and 2 onto the back stretch, they'll very quickly catch Wolsifer as they head in through turn 3 and 4. Rogers having a stellar night. The new championship leader, Carl Pooler, sitting just behind. He too starting to see some really great results here in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series as Wolsifer moves to the high line and lets these drivers go underneath him. He was, as I mentioned, Wolsifer was just in this mix not long ago. So perhaps if he can work some strategy out, he'll be able to get back onto the lead lap here before long. Taking a good look through the field as everybody works under that Wolsifer car. Jared Hughes now, as I mentioned, in that 3rd spot. Hughes also carrying a breast cancer awareness ribbon on board. Really fantastic to see all of these drivers really represented well out there. You can see Stephen Borbell as well. Hockey Fights Cancer on board that number 2 machine. So many of these drivers really getting into the act out there, and it's just great to see. I can see Clapper Newell himself going with a pink paint job on that machine for Spirit
a lot
Racing.
Of pink out there tonight.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've said this many times, Rev, but it's great to break up the monotony of red and black and like blue and green. That seems to be
100%.
As a graphic designer over there, I'm sure you can agree to some degree. Everybody just loves those primary colors, but it's really nice to see some pinks and purples occasionally.
I try to convince everyone that a gradient is the best way to break the monotony. Gradients are number 1.
I did a rainbow chrome paint scheme when I was doing, and I can say this word now officially, IndyCar. I was doing an IndyCar race not in a league not long ago, and I decided to break that out, and it did get some heads turned, that is for sure. I just thought, what's like the wildest paint scheme that I can make, and rather than just going metallic. Yeah, just a lot of fun. But really, that's the kind of cool stuff they can talk to you about over at Rev Sim Shop, I'm sure, and say, hey, let's do something really wild. Let's get some attention out there for my business or for my sponsor, for my awareness cause, whatever it is. And are any of these cars out here yours? Any of these paint schemes?
I have actually the 51. Yeah, that was one of mine for this league.
Beautiful. It's always a head turner.
Yeah, and like I said, gradients, man, gradients. And then there's the hidden text within the paint you can see from the sides.
Yeah, I think
it's a good looking car.
yeah. Now you added, it's a drink? Is that what that is?
W is into it's an energy drink powder, I believe. Now
Oh,
I can't use them because of my heart condition, so I wouldn't be 100%. But that is a sponsor of his.
I can just picture Zachary King. He's just like bright-eyed and wired and ready to race every single one of these races with those
absolutely.
W's. Well, either way,
Yeah.
very cool, and the big graphic with the face on it, the logo, one of the other cool things I really like about it is the name W really stands out. You can read it. That's just yet another thing that after you see so many of these races, you get used to seeing small letters and a little tough to read this name or that name. But when you get a nice big name, nice big imagery, you can really see it from the grandstands.
Well, a lot of you need to have some contrast, especially on those top numbers for people like myself who do race control. Race control is a lot easier when you can tell what car you're looking at, especially with the amount of paint changes people do in iRacing.
Right.
So, having that high contrast really does help out the admin and race control of your leagues. White on white is not good. Black on black is not good.
But it looks so
and
cool.
Yeah, but it takes forever to figure out who's involved.
You mean I can't just make it matte and have it be completely
No,
readable?
Trevor, you cannot.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
You're not allowed. Or like we had somebody in one of my other leagues who decided to just change the spec map to make his numbers shine. I'm like, dude, thank you. Appreciate it.
Doesn't work. But like, for example, you look at Gavin Rogers, that pink number 77 on the black. Chef's kiss right there. Easy to read.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
He went through maybe 2 or 3 iterations of that car. Because like I said, he put my mother's name on there. And this one is by far the sexiest one of them all. Well, I'm very, very proud of his paint here.
And again, just on the hood, just has the Hope logo out on the side. Nice and big breast cancer awareness with the ribbon. I mean, so many of these paint schemes are great. Obviously, Carl Pooler just behind has great big Limitless with the breast cancer awareness logo on the front. I mean, easy stuff to see, easy to identify and read.
Absolutely.
And good for them. They're going to get plenty of screen time. People are going to be able to tell exactly what team they're racing for. And it's just a lot of fun to get this stuff done. But at the same time, hey, if you have no idea what you're doing, you just want something that looks cool, that's the perfect time to send it to a pro graphic designer like Rev at Rev Sim Shop.
I will encourage anyone to give it a try themselves. I will actually go through and teach. Like if they get a paint from me, they get to sit with me in Discord and actually go through the process with me. And if I can teach them how to use Photoshop or GIMP or whatever it is they tool they use, I know I might be losing a return customer, but I'm getting a loyal voice out of it. So,
well, I tell you what, I almost thought you were saying that facetiously, that you would teach somebody how to do it, because as somebody who has built these paint schemes in Photoshop, it is anything but super easy. But if you have the patience for it and you're willing to learn, and certainly if you're used to using Paint or any other program like that, it really isn't that much more difficult to learn. But that being said, there's so many tricks to it that unless you really want to dive into it, it's really best to have a friend who does this kind of stuff and can work with you. And certainly I encourage anybody out there, if you want to learn, Rev Sim Shop, they'll teach you how to do it. But at the same time, if you just go, this is my logo, I work 9 to 5, I don't have time to mess around with this stuff, just make it look cool. Having a good friend like Rev, that's a good way to get it done.
Absolutely. We got your back, man. Like I said, we got several artists you can choose from. You don't have to exactly go with myself. My schedule does get a little busy sometimes. Some weeks it's murder, like today. Today was a tough day, and I've still got 3 or 4 more days of fixing paints because of the new car models.
Yes. Yes, I suppose that's something that we could bring up here. iRacing You know, when iRacing decides to update, they just do it. They don't really give you much warning. They're not like, hey, everybody, there's going to be a big update that's going to break all the paints on all the cars coming.
Yeah.
But literally, they dropped that today, and as a result, all the painters out there had to do a lot of tough work and a lot of fixes today.
I woke up this morning and I had 24 PMs and a little over 258 messages in the Discord server. So, yeah, it was a very busy day for all of us at the Rev Sim Shop.
Wow. Wowie. Difficult to wake up to that. I didn't have any of that. I just had to prep for the race. That was it.
Yeah, see, I think you're the lucky one.
Yeah, definitely the lucky one. Of course, we'd like to give a big shout out while we're here to Donna Lee checking in. Great job, number 77. Yes, that's right. There he is out front. Gavin Rogers holding down the front of this one, working his way towards lap number 80 when we'll be taking another break here as everyone's kind of getting up into this pack. So we'll see whether or not he can hang on to that top spot. We see, looks like Borbell diving down onto the apron there for a moment. It shakes things up. Jared Hughes sliding backwards here. So not exactly sure what's happened to Hughes, but he started to drop back here. We're watching on. We've got one down to the inside. That's Patinko. I'm going to take some
Looks like his 31 just kind of bumped him down a little bit there.
Yeah, definitely Bayer Fritz in the middle of all of this. It's still shaking and grooving out here. 5 laps to go until the end of the second stage. I think some drivers are trying to come forward. Jared Hughes in that number 98 machine pinned down or on the outside there. And you can see Hernandez now up into the 4th spot. Clapper Newell fighting back. Dustin Stallings in this mix. Fritz kind of diving outside, inside, looking for position. And there you see Ronnie Norman at the back of this group. He's used to doing this kind of thing. He picks and chooses when it's time to go. So keep an eye on that orange and blue number 32 as he's having to slice and dice right now.
Yeah, lots of moving around out there. And that's never good because they're going to lose so much time to the top 4 cars.
Well, your only chance is to really get one heck of a run, slingshot yourself around this group, and then try and get that momentum to carry you forward. But right now, Norman's trapped on that outside line.
Now, I'd raced with the 13 a couple years back in a different league, and I can tell you that Jeremy Clapper has absolutely improved his skill set. 100-fold from where he was years ago.
Well, it's always so cool to see drivers climbing up the ladder and getting it figured out, settling down a little bit. It's, you see these drivers like Clapper Newell and others who are just blazing fast, but they just don't have the racecraft figured out yet, and it takes some time to get it all figured out and see what the really great guys do. The really great guys sometimes aren't even that much faster than the really speedy rookies, but they've got all the tricks to how to get through these races, how to avoid incidents, how to work at the front, how to bump draft. They know how to do it, and as a new guy, you got to figure it all out.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, drivers like the 77, Gavin, he's a young kid, but he's got it figured out. He does kart racing also in real life. And one of the things that I've noticed about him, he still makes mistakes like anyone else. But he doesn't make as many of the little ones. So the little ones don't add up to a larger long-term problem. Oh, there they go. Oh, who is that? That was the 31 came across the nose. 91, yep.
Yeah, so Newell now drifting back a little bit. And he'll have some work to do to get back up there. Carl Pooler sliding.
Yep, that was supposed to be a caution. Why didn't it throw? There it goes.
There it is.
Sorry about that.
Gavin Rogers taking the win there. I'm not sure if Borbell or Pooler got it for second place because it was very tight at the line. But one of those two taking second place, and Patrick Hernandez taking fourth. Fantastic job there from those drivers. And we're going to once again step aside. We will be right back here on VirtualRacing.Network. We'll have the remainder of the show here, round number 7, Breast Cancer Awareness 250 from Atlanta. Stay tuned. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. Everyone into the pits. Gavin Rogers at the front end of that group. Here they come off of pit road. Rogers first, Carl Pooler second, Stephen Borbell third, and Patrick Hernandez fourth. And in the meantime, I believe that Richard Wolsifer is now going to bring it in. And is he on the lead lap? I believe he is on the lead lap at this point as he got the wave around. So presuming that he can get this pit stop done here kind of in a hurry, he will make it back out there and he will have gotten himself back on to the lead lap after that incident. Rev, pretty solid second stage there. This is 2 in a row here for Gavin Rogers, who's kind of cementing himself up at the front of this group. And I think his main rival in the championship, Ronnie Norman, has yet to kind of materialize in that top 3 after a couple of early scares.
I'm sorry, I missed a lot of that. They were talking in my ear.
Well, I know you've got driver chat on, and there's a lot of angry voices out there at the same time.
There is a lot of angry voices right now. But they're doing the choose cone right now, so I do have to do a little bit here. But you were asking about Gavin Rogers and something.
Well, Gavin Rogers has taken 2 stages in a row. He's done what he needs to do. He and again, you don't know how this is going to finish up, so he's done what he needs to do. Ronnie Norman has not gotten into the top 3 of any of these stages, and he's had a couple of close calls out there. What do you think he needs to do to win this race or to get those points that he needs from Gavin Rogers? Probably
turn up his aggression just a little bit early on in the stage, and then maintain where he ends up after, say, 20 laps here. I think that would be the key to set him up for the win.
So you would say go out there, take the lead, hold the lead, don't let anybody take it from you.
Not necessarily the lead, because I think he'll overdrive the car trying to get to it. I think if he sits back, 2 to 3 behind the lead, that puts himself in a really good field position if it becomes a fuel race. Not only that, but it does help with your tires just a little bit to be in the draft.
Certainly does, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do as he tries to continue to fight for this regular season championship. But Gavin Rogers right now taking over the lead and starting to put Ronnie Norman in his rearview mirror. Barney the flag man with the green flag in hand. And we've got the green flag again here for the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series Breast Cancer Awareness 250. And we are back underway with Gavin Rogers, Stephen Borbell leading the group. Carl Pooler and Jared Hughes a little slow to get refired there with Patrick Hernandez and Evan Patinko there. Now you see Hernandez jumping up into that 4th spot. Number 91 for Hernandez, also decked out in pink for tonight. Get a nice close look at that machine. Gimme speed, I believe it says, for the Ghost Motorsports number 91 Ford. Carrying that breast cancer awareness ribbon on the side. Beautiful schemes from so many of these drivers out there tonight. And, of course, we appreciate everybody's participation. Now that number 91 moves up into the third spot as Carl Pooler starts drifting backwards in a hurry. He's now down to seventh spot.
Yeah, that 91, Patrick Hernandez, is from just outside of the Fort Worth area. And he's a huge fan of NASCAR. And hold on, I'm getting a...
Looks like Rev's got more duty to do behind the scenes. We'll let him get off to that. But certainly Richard Wolsifer, very glad to be back onto the lead lap. I think maybe perhaps a little bit more cautious. He was right up there with Carl Pooler, his teammate. And now he's going to get a chance to perhaps join back up again with Pooler. But Wolsifer got the raw end of an earlier incident. So now he's going to have to work his way back forward. And he'll have a chance to do that, as I mentioned, with Pooler, his teammate. Working through the third and final stage here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 28 degrees of banking. These cars are absolutely flying around here. How fast you say? How about 185 miles per hour into these corners on a 1.5 mile circuit? They are just absolutely flying.
Not too long ago, if you told me they were running 185 at Atlanta, I would call you. I would call you out.
Well, this place was dangerous even before, but then they went and raised the banking, and now it's just insanity personified.
Yeah, they're able to hold that speed through the corners, which is terrifying.
Well, a lot of real-life drivers don't even like it. It's just ridiculously fast. Some of them have a need for speed, so they do love it. But at the same time, here in the comfort of our own living rooms and offices and etc., it's not something. It's entertainment, right? It's going fast, and you don't have to worry too much about the danger aspect of it. You go flipping in one of these things in real life, and there's sparks and fire and parts missing on the car. Dustin Stallings and pain. Yes, we can never forget the pain and the hospital visits that are associated with it. None of that to speak of here in sim racing, fortunately. Dustin Stallings having a solid race, as is the guy in front of him, Bayer Fritz. Really having a great show here tonight. Running in fourth place, Bayer is. Dustin Stallings sitting back there in sixth. Dustin having a couple of brushes with disaster, but obviously not claiming disaster, and still able to compete at a very high level right now, sitting in this main pack in seventh place. Jared Hughes, he was up there in the top three for a moment, but now he's back here in 10th place, trying to get back and get position for the end of this race. Again, we're going to 165 laps overall tonight, so we'll see how this works out. It's been, I was just going to say it's been green flag through a lot of this, but now we've got several cars around. Patrick Hernandez, we just spoke about him, and unfortunately he's caught in this mess. Brendan Maddox will bring it through. Christian Bresnock, also perhaps part of this. And we'll get a chance to take a look at what happened to Patrick Hernandez in the Ghost Motorsports number 91 just a moment ago here. Take a look from overhead. Hernandez in that number 91 machine. Looks like the 31 makes contact as the 91 wavers around. Looks like a couple more cars getting into the middle of that. And again, we'll take a look. This is on board with Hernandez. He touches the wall there. check and see what looked like from Brendan Maddox's point of view. He was back racing a little ways back. You can see all the smoke just ahead. 13 of Clapper Newell on his outside, and he takes strong evasive action to get through that mess. Jump back to the live picture here, and Briar Fritz sitting on pit road right now. You see a lot of damage on the right side of that machine. You see the right corner there just get pounded out live on camera. So cool for us to watch, but unfortunately for Briar Fritz, not so cool. You see the fruit stripe number 9 there of Christian Bresnock. He's had a rough night out there tonight, but he gets it rolling again on pit road. See the number 91 for Grim Speed there for Ghost Motorsports. That's Patrick Hernandez. Perhaps has gotten all of his damage fixed, but Briar Fritz still sitting on pit road. The Dubby machine for Zachary King. Unfortunately, the blinking continues here, but we do have the correct paint scheme on there now, so that's good. We got the pink ribbon on the back corner, and we've changed the color of the car, so great to see out there. A little bit of breast cancer awareness coming from Zachary King as well. And trying to read exactly what that says on the hood of the number 33, but very cool to see the, is it Quastel? Castle? Maybe it's pronounced Castle.io? Qastle.io. Does something. Something of the wired for the wired home. So I guess head on over there and check it out, and thank them for their breast cancer awareness. That is a pink on pink machine. Gotta love it. With the pink, going full on with the pink wheels and everything there for that number 33 machine of Brendan Maddox. Unfortunately, it's not bringing him the luck that he needs, and he's going to sit there on pit road. And Rev, you are a busy guy, hopping in and hopping out. You got all kinds of stuff to do out there tonight.
Yeah. It feels like normal life, running from A to B all day long, back and forth.
Well, certainly good stuff tonight, watching the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Some good clean racing out there, but unfortunately Atlanta kind of getting the worst of some of these drivers.
Yes, sir. I think it has a lot to do with patience. This type of a track, it's the first time they've done a super speedway out of 1.5 miles like this. I'm still out to lunch on that. So I don't know. It's going to take a lot from the drivers to be a little bit more sorry, they're talking.
Always something to listen to, something to do behind the scenes. As we're back under green flag here, Gavin Rogers with a great run on that restart. Stephen Borbell right behind. Kind of left Carl Pooler sitting, twiddling his thumbs there for a second, but he gets it back underway. And now the tandem at Limitless eSports of Pooler and Wolsifer have formed once again. And here comes Pooler down on the inside. Wolsifer just behind to support his teammate. We're going to see Limitless eSports back at the front here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we are. Carl Pooler puts Limitless eSports back at the top of the order, with Richard Wolsifer in second. Gavin Rogers now holding on to third. And what's that? Yes, you see it correctly. Ronnie Norman has chosen wisely. He's now formed up at the back of Carl Pooler and Richard Wolsifer. He'll go up there and sit in third place. So Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell dropping back for just a moment. And now sitting on that outside line. So good running from them, but perhaps this is intentional. Not really sure. We'll have to see how this works out in the long run. Right
Now,
now,
with a teammate sitting right behind him, it could very well be an intentional drop back just to let the action happen in front.
yeah, it did get a little hectic there. 65 laps remaining is certainly a lot of time. No need to necessarily sit up front. Now, if you were getting paid a point per lap that you led, then it might be a little different.
Yeah, well, that would be that's a difficult one. So, you know,
That'd be, there's so many weird ways you can work points and stuff to try to play with these races, but ultimately you're seeing a really good one play out right now, no matter how it is pointed by the time that it's done. Carl Pooler, Richard Wilsifer, two teammates at Limitless Esports here in stage number 3 have taken over the front. They have done this already, this race before. They just weren't able to check out and hold on to those positions, but we'll see whether or not it can happen a little bit for them a little bit later on and see if they can hold on to this lead, perhaps take the race win. Ashley Pooler, keep it up, number 71. Let's go Limitless. You get that lap back. Wilsifer, go 56. Wilsifer got that lap back, and he is sitting in second place. Ashley Pooler, go Pooler, number 71. So all that cheerleading from the sidelines definitely paying off as Carl Pooler feeling the support. And right now he's up in front of this race. And if you're taking a look back from Pooler, not so easy over the top of that lip camera there, but certainly what he would see on board. We'll see if we can get inside the car here. This is what he would see from right behind that steering wheel. We'll watch Carl Pooler's hands as he dives into turn number 1 here. You can see the cars strung out behind Pooler. Richard Wilsifer right behind him, pushing him. You hear the RPMs go up a little bit. That means some contact was made there for a moment.
case in point, the top 4 cars will end up pulling away from that pack back there. Well, maybe not if the 13 doesn't keep moving out of the line.
There's that number 13 machine of Jeremy Clapper Newell you're talking about, Rev, and he and the 77 of Gavin Rogers right now doing battle. Rogers on the outside, Newell on the inside, Borbell just behind. Hopefully these drivers can keep it straight. You know, one of those things, I mean, you can play all kinds of games as you see some of these drivers going out very wide, some pinching it down low, almost all the way down to the apron. You can try and force drivers to slow themselves down by pinching them. You can run them high and run them nearly the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just feel like this is not the time to do that. I think maybe if you're going to start pulling out some of those tactics, you certainly want to wait towards close to the end, because that's the type of stuff that at a super speedway-esque track like this, that's the type of stuff that'll cause an incident.
No, the thing is, you know, if you just look at a position of a vehicle, say at the start-finish line now, and then give it one lap, they're usually not in the same spot. They'll be close. But anything can change in a blink of an eye at a track that's this fast. So when you decide if, say like Borbell and Gavin Rogers here, if they wanted to get together and just run real tight, they could probably get to the front of this pack. I don't have any doubt in my mind, as long as they go ahead and side draft. So if they wanted to be the bully and push these guys down to that inside line with that side draft, they would run right by them. But that's why I said I think they're going to stay back a little bit on purpose. But if you're going to try to move people around a track, you have to make sure that they have the same skill level to take it.
Well, you know, it all sounds good, but you could, if you drop back and you don't lead, there's a good chance that you could still end up in someone else's mess. And we've seen that time and time again. So it's darned if you do, darned if you don't. You go up there and you lead, and you burn up your equipment. You could get taken out from the lead as well. But then again, you drop back in the pack, and if anything happens in front of you, that could be the end of your night.
Yep. Well, if you look at the 32, he hasn't really even tried. He hasn't made a move. He's looked for the move. but he hasn't made it to pass either one of these two in front of him. He's playing the smart game. He's learning their drive around this. He's waiting for that mistake, and then when he finds it, he may not use it right away. He'll use it when he needs to, so he can save his equipment for that moment.
I mean, Ronnie is definitely, so many drivers are skilled at being able to make passes on the track. And of course, he's right there with all of them. He knows how to do that, but he is one of the most skilled at being patient and waiting for when the time is right. And so many drivers, they think that means, oh, just wait till the end. No, not at all. He's sitting in the exact place where he wants to be right now, in third and fourth position. If he wanted to be further back, he'd move further back. If he wanted to be up in the lead, he would make the passes, I'm sure, to get up there into the lead. He'd get real aggressive. But right now, as you said, Rev, he's sitting there in that fourth spot because he believes that's the right place for him to be at this moment. But whether or not that's the way it all works out, it's 50-50.
Yep.
50-50 luck and skill in a game like this.
And I know they used to call it the waiting room for the winner's circle. Third, fourth place, that's the waiting room. And the waiting room you don't always get called back by the nurse, so.
Oh my goodness me. You could pretty much be next to death by the time the nurse calls you to come back in to see the doctor.
I just got the Beetlejuice head shrinking scene in my head.
Take the number and it's like 1 million.
1 million.
Next is 1. But here we go. Carl Pooler and Richard Wilsifer having a fantastic race out front. You see a lot of jockeying around for position back here from about 5th onwards. That's Gavin Rogers, Evan Patinko, Dustin Stallings, Stephen Borbell, Jared Hughes, and Patrick Hernandez all fighting for position in this group. As well, you see Kristen Bresnock diving to the outside. Now, you look a little bit further back. There's Breyer Fritz. He's been up and he's been down. He's been having one heck of a race. Right now, he's probably got a cold one in his hand and just thinking, when am I going to lunge forward? But nevertheless, at some point, if you want to make it up to the front, 50 laps to go, you've got to start thinking, when do I put my car in gear and start picking and choosing a line? I can't ride at the back and win this race. So you really got to pick and choose when you want to go. Zachary King, it looks like, has fallen well off of this pace. He and I'm not sure who that was. I believe it's David Hall there, the number 21, is following along behind King. So these two not having the race that they wanted to tonight. Of course, you see King there with a little bit of breast cancer awareness out there. But both of these drivers really trying hard. Unfortunately, it is not their night, I don't think, to hit winner's circle. Just under 50 laps to go here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for round number 7 of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Carl Pooler and Richard Wilsifer, your top two at the moment. Ronnie Norman still hanging on to that third spot. And the rest of these drivers just kind of side by side, trying to figure out which lane is the fastest at the moment. Here comes Bresnock up on the outside lane, making his way forward right now, climbing up into the 7th position. So he has gained a couple of spaces here. And now Gavin Rogers challenging on that outside lane, looks to be taking the spot away from Ronnie Norman. These two are 1 and 2 in the championship, with multiple wins going now to both drivers. But Ronnie Norman taking over control early, capitalizing on his successes in other leagues.
Now, I'm not familiar with how many other leagues does Ronnie run?
Well, Ronnie was in the NORA Cup Series and was up for the championship. Excuse me, not the NORA Cup Series, the NORA Truck Series. He was up for the championship there. He also raced in the NORA Cup Series. and then also was running the Icon Cup Series, of which he was a front runner there and up for the championship as well.
That's very awesome.
So that's 2 other leagues that were just strictly running Cup Series, and then next-gen machines, and then also running Monday nights in the Truck Series. So talk about getting, your fill of NASCAR racing. He came into the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series revved up and ready to go.
It looks like it, but it looks like Gavin has decided to make his move.
Yeah, he definitely took that outside line to the front, and he's bringing his teammate Steven Borbell with him as Carl Pooler is left on that low line, and it looks like Christian Bresnock has chosen correctly. He's on that outside lane as well, and now it's a whole different top 3 than it was just a couple of laps ago. We've got one into the wall. It's Jared Hughes. Does not bring out the caution, but there is some severe damage on that machine. You see sparks flying from underneath it, some damage to the right front, and unfortunately, you can hear the tire rubbing, and it looks like Jared Hughes' night has gone from decent to poor. This is going to really cost him here, and I expect he'll be on pit road before too long. So the drivers continue here on lap number 123 of 165, working our way through this third and final stage. Gavin Rogers, your leader, Steven Borbell, his teammate just behind. Carl Pooler still hanging in there on that low line. He says, Carl says, I haven't faded yet. I'm not drifting to the back. Me and Rich Wool, we're still in this one. Can't count us out. So 77 and the 56 teaming up for a large chunk of this race. Wolsifer having to come back from a lap down and then meeting up with his teammate Carl Pooler and coming forward. Now you see a little bit of movement there as looks like Borbell manages to pull down the track there. Excuse me, that's the 33 of Maddox who has ended up in this pack. He pulls down the track in front of the other machines. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to get his lap back at the moment and fight this one out by going up and passing everybody, but we have seen that work to some success before.
It's a tough thing to do, and the only way it really works for you is if you can get that yellow right after you pass that first place car.
Yeah, you got to kind of go out there, pass, and then just hold on to the lead. But stranger things have happened.
Oh, and it looks like we're going to hit some green flag pit stops.
Well, this will be exciting stuff. We'll see who gets in and off of pit road the quickest, as we've got Richard Wolsifer bringing it down. And it looks like one has gone around, and that brings out a yellow flag. Yeah. It's the number 71 of Carl Pooler, who went around coming to pit road. He drives up the track almost into another machine, and Pooler's going to have to go around again. Unfortunate stuff there for Pooler, so let's take a look. This is, we'll just jump on board with Pooler here and see exactly what went on. And see him getting, onto that transition there on the apron, and it really got him. Spinning around, looks like he did make contact with somebody. We'll have to see if we can tell exactly who he made contact with there. See the 13 of Clapper Newell just behind. And it looks like the 31 of Breyer Fritz makes contact. And unfortunate for him, as I think he was just starting to come back through. This is what it looked like from on board with Breyer Fritz here. And most definitely not what you want to see in front of you. As, you see another driver taking evasive action to not come into the pits there. He's going to go around again, but Breyer still able to continue into the pits. And as a result, we are under caution. So we are going to step aside one more time here on VirtualRacing.Network. Get a chance to one more time drool over some of the delicious offerings over at Sundance Pizza in Wickenburg, Arizona. Make sure to check that out. Be right back here on VirtualRacing.Network. Stay tuned. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. We are under caution for a spin as drivers were just starting to make green flag pit stops. That spin was from Carl Pooler, who had a great race going. Unfortunately, got a little loose there under braking, coming down onto the apron and the transition onto the apron. And as a result, the number 31 also managed to tag him, Breyer Fritz. And looks like Breyer Fritz is going to get the wave around there. So he will get his lap back. Adam Buzzio right now sitting back in this pack, and he's still one lap down. So if he can get another opportunity, if everyone makes a pit stop coming up, he might have an opportunity to jump up there and get himself into the lead pack once again. That would be a phenomenal comeback from him. So just another example of how patience can really play a role here. We've seen it before, but that would be something special if he can manage to hang on and get back onto that lead lap. If we get another caution, he will get that opportunity. So we'll find out here before too long. But right now, under that 7th caution, this is about to be over here very shortly, and we'll be back underway. Gavin Rogers has done a lot of great work. He's going to have to do some more here to get this race win. Gavin Rogers leads us back with Stephen Borbell, his teammate, right behind him, and they have another fantastic restart. Of course, perhaps being able to call it out over the radio, which is always a huge advantage if you have a teammate behind you. You can tell them exactly when you're going to go. So Ronnie Norman still sitting in that 3rd spot after that round of pit stops. Evan Patinko now in 4th, and you can see some movement happening as Ronnie Norman started to look to the high side on Stephen Borbell. He decides not to go, but there's Patinko right behind in his very colorful pink and white machine, the number 96 with hope on its side. No one fights alone. Certainly something to keep in mind for those of you or having to go through something with breast cancer awareness. Patinko giving it his shot out there tonight for Spirit Racing in that number 96 Ford. Holding on to 4th place, there's Patrick Hernandez for Ghost Motorsports there in the number 91. He's sitting in 5th place. So Patrick Hernandez, one of those drivers to keep your eye on because he has been running so well. Last week he ran well. 2 weeks ago he ran well. And now here he is sitting in 5th spot in just a couple of races into this BRB Buttkicker Cup Series for himself. So will he be able to take down a podium position here tonight? Will it be Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell? The way that it looks right now, will Ronnie Norman have something to say about it? We're just about 30 laps to go here, and we will be finding out here momentarily. In the meantime, back here a little bit further, we've got some shaking up. This is, I believe, Carl Pooler in this as well. Brendan Maddox, Dustin Stallings, and there's Zachary King just in front. These drivers, and now we're under caution as Breyer Fritz appears to have had another issue. So let's take a look at what happened to Breyer Fritz. You can see there he is being followed by the 71 of Pooler. And it looks like a little bit of contact between these two, and then he comes up and makes contact there with, I believe that was Dustin Stallings. So we'll take one more look at this one from overhead here and see if we can tell a little bit clearer what took place. It definitely looks like the 71 gets into him, but if we back it up, we'll maybe get a little bit better of a picture as we jump on board with that number 71 of Carl Pooler. You can see him following the 31. And I'm not sure. It does kind of look like the 31 might have had a moment there. If we go back and we play it back from the 31 and perhaps we can get into the cockpit with him, we might see something happen here. We'll have to go back to it here. Let's see if we can tell. Really hard to tell. We'll have to back it up. Almost looks like it starts to get away from him before he gets tagged from Pooler, but it's pretty much impossible to say. Very possibly contact from Pooler that causes it, but either way, that's what Rev is up to right now, is assessing those details and figuring out if anybody is responsible that needs to be reprimanded. Either way, Carl Pooler now sitting on pit lane with possible damage to that number 71, and he tops off, and he is back underway. Breyer Fritz still sitting on pit road in the 31. Now he gets it going once again. He is underway, and Jared Hughes, who you saw was the car who actually made contact not long ago, he gets it going again as well. Now, Adam Buzzio is officially on the lead lap. You heard that right. He's come back from, I don't know if he was 3 laps down, but I believe he was 2 laps down. And now Adam Buzzio is back on the lead lap with a chance at a potential podium or even better here tonight. So congratulations to Adam for doing all that work. And as a result, hey, let's get the Tri-Vista number 5 on screen. Take a look at this machine here. Quite a beautiful job on that livery. And certainly the message is loud and clear to keep fighting. And certainly something that we've been talking about all night. And a great message. You see just a beautiful livery there, decked out with all of that. Keep fighting, Jeanette, is the message there from Adam Buzzio. And certainly Buzzio putting in the fight out there tonight. He has really fought to try to stay relevant in this race and potentially take a win. And, I mean, he's had to do everything he possibly could Will he be able to get a podium position? Will he be able to get up there and get up into the top 2? Let's find out. Just about 25 laps remaining here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Gavin Rogers leads it back to the green flag. Stephen Borbell in second. Ronnie Norman in third. Evan Patinko in fourth. And Patrick Hernandez, that's your fifth driver. Brendan Maddox sitting there in sixth place. Bresnock holding on the outside line, but that is not the place to be. He's sliding backwards. He tries to bring it down in front of Dustin Stallings. No go. Tries to slot in now in front of Briar Fritz. No go. He is falling like a rock, and he has been hung out to dry on that outside line.
At this point in the race, if you're caught outside of the main drive line, nah. Everybody's looking out for A number 1.
That is a freight train going by. You're might as well be sitting there watching this train go by at a station, because there's no hopping on board when it's moving that fast. There's the number 98. The number 31 is still just getting by to get his lap back. Can you believe it?
I do. I mean, he's very patient with that and almost cunning, because it keeps him out of the crap every time.
Well, he got caught up in that. I mean, he got caught up in that earlier incident, and yeah, he's up there in the points. He's fighting to try to possibly get the regular season championship, but he's also there to support his teammates, Stephen Borbell, and the championship leader, Gavin Rogers. But at the same time, this has been a heroic comeback, and it's all really, very indicative of that message that's on the back of his race car, which is keep fighting, Jeanette. Well, Adam is out there, and he keeps on fighting as well.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go. Now, earlier in the race, you did see him get all the way back up to the front. I think when he was still 4 laps down, which really, really helped. And he didn't actually pit, or he pitted instead of staying out to get that lap back. So he's proven that he can get up through this field. Let's see if he's able to do that again here.
Well, here he goes. Right now, moving up into the 12th position as Bresnock continues to slide backwards. But Stephen Borbell, Gavin Rogers, his 2 teammates, still holding on to the front. No change there. Ronnie Norman in third. In fact, this is just a freight train going back. Nobody moving out of line. 22 laps to go here in the Breast Cancer Awareness 250. And before long, we are going to see this shake up quite a lot, as every driver is going to give it everything they've got here as we get under 20 to go.
Speaking of shaking it up, it's already starting. It started back there with the 71 of Carl Pooler and then the 33 of Maddox.
Well, Pooler moving forward a little bit further than that. Forward, you got Maddox, Wolsifer in this mix-up here. Jeremy Clapper Newell now into this mix as well. And Wolsifer and Newell get very close together there as they exit turn 4. Got to really watch. This is where it's all on the line. Everybody's going to be going for the top positions that they can get. You've got to align yourself with the driver that you think is going to go to the front, and you got to watch out for everyone else who is willing to basically cut anyone's throat to get to the front.
Yeah, here they are 2x2 from 4th back. And I'm not sure if I'm the 32, if I should go to that outside lane and run that train outside, or stick to where you're at. I mean, you're under 20 to go here. I think it's time for him to start to show a little bit of that speed we know he can pull out here.
Well, it is starting to get hot and heavy in the mid-pack here. Brendan Maddox caught in the middle of that with Evan Patinko. Patrick Hernandez side by side on back from about 5th place. Outside lane trying to figure it out. In the meantime, Ronnie Norman pulls up a little bit to try to block that outside lane charge. He doesn't want to see a challenge come on the outside. That's Brendan Maddox, who's looking pretty hot and heavy there with his machine. He gets put into the wall. There's some movement a little bit further back, but everybody seems to get it straightened out before anyone goes around. Oh, that was so close there. As Maddox, I should mention, Maddox did get that lap back. That was something we were talking about before, but he pulled it off, and he managed to get his lap back as well. He was just running in the 5th position, so kudos to him. Unfortunately, he ended up getting the chrome horn there from somebody.
Somebody was really mad on the radio right now.
Well, it's kind of a good thing that we don't have all those radios turned on. I kind of thought that would be fun just sometime to just randomly turn those on, but we'd get yanked off the air very quickly if we did, I believe.
Highly advised not to. I will concur that will get you booted.
Yeah, for sure. Gavin Rogers, though, still doing what he needs to do as we come down to 15 to go here, this time by the start-finish stripe. Barney the flag man sees him flash under the flag stand. Just 15 laps remain here for round number 7. Will it be Gavin Rogers? Will it be Stephen Borbell with his first win of the season? Will it be Ronnie Norman, who captures yet another win this season and steals the show here tonight? Will it be Brendan Maddox, who's now fought his way back up into 4th place? Richard Wilsifer. Every one of these drivers would love to see themselves up in that winner's column, and they are dogfighting back here to try to get themselves into position to do that.
Yeah, that sometimes that's hard to do, especially when you have a track this fast and that hard to pass.
While Maddox holding that outside line there on the inside, Evan Patinko, as they round the corners 3 and 4 once again. Coming to start-finish stripe, 13 to go this time by, and it looks like Maddox gets turned just a little bit. Patinko gets turned just a little bit. A little difficult to tell these pink and white cars apart. But he manages to save it. Congratulations to Evan Patinko. Fantastic driving. But what this has done is it has split apart this group. Now you can see the top 3 of Rogers, Borbell, and Norman have opened up over a 1.8 second gap to this middle group.
Yeah, that second pack is now, they're fighting so hard. They're losing speed as a group. In fact, on the radio, the 33 was just saying, hey, I'm going to drop back so we can form up. So they realize what kind of trouble they're in back there.
Yeah, this is dire position. If we stay green here until the end, Richard Wolsifer has found himself into 4th. Patrick Hernandez right now sitting in 5th place. And this group has got to line themselves up if they're going to have any chance here with 10 to go the next time by at the stripe. They are they're 2.5 seconds back from this front 3. And the front 3 is not doing any battling. They're just kind of settling nose to tail. But as soon as I say that, you see Ronnie Norman going to the high side on Stephen Borbell. This is the first big move that we've seen from Ronnie Norman towards the front. Is he going to be able to surprise the top 2? No, he's not. He's able to not take over that position, and he decides to duck back in line.
Yeah, he may be just testing the waters at this point because we're still at 10 to go right now. And maybe he saw something. Well, here he goes again. And looks like he found what he was looking for this time around. No, maybe not.
He may just be trying to upset the apple cart ever so much. Maybe get Borbell to move to the high side and he can move down to the low side. See, just as Borbell did that, if Norman had been a little bit closer, he could have forced himself down on the low side. Here he's going to do the over-under.
And he's keeping his nose down there, so he might actually pull this off.
There, he has done it. He's gotten to the low side on Borbell. It forces Gavin Rogers to swing up to the high side. That possibly is going to open the door for Ronnie Norman. We'll see. No, it does not, as that aerodynamic draft of Rogers able to pull Borbell back into him, and they're able to stay 1-2 Next Level Motorsports.
And in the meantime, what's happening behind these 3, they went from 2.5 behind to lining up 6 straight, and now they're within 3/4 of a second.
Yes, in fact, half a second now, and it's closing in a hurry. And I don't know if this is what Ronnie Norman wanted to see by trying on Stephen Borbell, but look at, here comes Richard Wilsifer with a monstrous run. He decides not to force the issue. He could have gone by all three of these cars with that run. Instead, he lends some support to Ronnie Norman, and here comes Richard Wilsifer to push Ronnie Norman to the lead. Gavin Rogers, Stephen Borbell on the outside, 6 to go at the stripe. Now this group has formed back up to about 9 cars, including Patrick Hernandez and Brendan Maddox. Outside of this group, though, Carl Pooler, as Gavin Rogers now on that outside line has taken back over the lead with Stephen Borbell's help. And there you've got Briar Fritz on that outside line. 5 laps to go. The high five in Barney the Flagman's hand as everyone rushes underneath him. Who will it be here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, round number 7 of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series? Gavin Rogers holding on to a slim margin on the outside lane. Ronnie Norman leading the inside lane. These two are 1-2 in the championship. They both want this race win. Gavin wants to sweep the weekend, being able to take the pole position, take the first stage, the second stage victory. Will he take overall? Ronnie Norman now marches out into a clear lead. Will he pull up the track and try and block the run from Gavin Rogers, or will he hold the low line and continue to take that support from Richard Wilsifer?
I believe he's smarter to stay right down on that line the best he can. I don't know. He may just do the block.
We'll find out. I mean, it depends on whether he feels more threatened from Gavin Rogers up there on the high side, or if he doesn't want to lose that support from Richard Wilsifer down on the low side. Oh, and it gets very tight there as multiple cars.
Pusher pushing. Got a pusher pushing the pusher. So that was a bad thing to do.
Can we hold it together for 2 more laps? We're going to have a lap car coming up here in a moment that everyone's going to have to work around. Ronnie Norman is falling back on that low line. Will Gavin Rogers swing down and try and take over that low line position, or will he stay on the high side with Stephen Borbell's help? Now just 3 cars on that low side. Is it enough to get Ronnie Norman back up there? Will Bayer Fritz try and stick his nose into the middle of this mix? Ronnie Norman trying to do everything that he can. The white flag is out. They're trying to pass Ronnie Norman coming into the corner. They can't do it. Gavin Rogers holding on to a slim margin, but he's able to do it in front of his teammate, Stephen Borbell. Briar Fritz gets into the back of Borbell, but he dives down to the low side, trying to take a look at Borbell in second place. A lot of stacking up here a little bit further back. Richard Wilsifer slides backwards, but at the line, it's going to be Gavin Rogers who sweeps the weekend.
Very, very exciting and wild finish.
Certainly Dustin Stallings thought it was a wild finish. A number of these drivers really put on a heck of a run there at the very end of this race. We'll have to go back as Gavin Rogers comes around to celebrate his victory with his teammate Stephen Borbell. We'll let the celebration go on here as we get the final results up here on the screen. We'll welcome in our 3 final finishers, go over the final results with you, and then have a chat in Victory Lane discussion here on VirtualRacing.Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. You saw it live. What a heck of a finish. What a way for Gavin Rogers to hold on after a very late race. Solid charge coming from Ronnie Norman and Richard Wolsifer. They end up further back in the pack, and teammates Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell pull off first and second for Next Level Motorsports. Yet another fantastic run for Next Level, taking first and second place. And as I mentioned, the full sweep by Gavin Rogers of the racing weekend. Third place going to Bayer Fritz. Fourth place going to Evan Patinko of Spirit Racing. Dustin Stallings holds on to take fifth place. Sixth going to Ronnie Norman, who is looking at a potential victory. He ends up holding on to only sixth place after tonight and kind of losing some points in the championship overall to Gavin Rogers. Richard Wolsifer, for all that effort, ends up back in seventh place for Limitless Esports. Patrick Hernandez for Ghost Motorsports back in eighth place. Brendan Maddox ending up in ninth place. Jeremy Clapper Newell for Spirit Racing ending up in 10th. 12th going to Christian Bresnock. 13th, Carl Pooler, who had such a fantastic race in the early part. Unfortunately, an incident coming to pit lane cost him dearly, ending up all the way back there at 13th. Zachary King having internet issues tonight, not really able to contend in 14th place. Jared Hughes in 15th place. 16th going to David Hall, and 17th to Christopher Campbell. And so with that, we're going to get a chance here momentarily to welcome in our top three. And this is going to be some exciting interviews, so stay tuned here. In just a moment, we'll be able to bring in our third place finisher, possibly Bayer Fritz. Let's see if we can get him to make it to the booth here. Bear with us here. Here we go. He's actually here with us, and we'll get a chance to chat with him. Bayer Fritz, this is Trevor Greenfield here in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Well, congratulations. This is your first race here in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. It is.
Well, what a way to debut. You know, you were up there at the front of the race. I was seeing you. I was calling your name, and I'm thinking, this guy's looking pretty good for his very first race. I wonder if he's going to end up in podium contention here at the end. And sure enough, you managed to survive a number of incidents out there. Talk us through your night. How did you end up in third place here tonight?
I mean, it just starts out with a little bit of luck here in these racetracks. I managed to get to save my fast repair until the little last incident on pit road. After that, it was just survive, and I think we had 15 laps to go on that last restart. I knew I had to make my way up there, but I knew that it wasn't going to be until about lap 5 until I could make my move. So I just sat there. I'm blanking my teammate's name. You know, first day here, first day. I know Patrick and Dustin. They were there helping me. I feel like we had a chance. I feel like I messed up. We had a good chance to win there at the end if I would have followed Dustin on the bottom, but it's just a lot of survive and advance and just kind of make your moves as you feel and not as you see.
Well, it was a one heck of a survival effort there at the end. Talk us through your strategy of where you decided to position yourself at the end. Was there any temptation to come down and join Wolsifer and Ronnie Norman, or was it just sticking to the high side with Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell?
I know racing there in the past. I've raced there a couple times in trucks and a couple in Cup. I knew Top was going to get a majority of the run. It's just if we can get a good push from, I think the third car back is where the good push starts. And I was pushing whoever's in front of me there. I think it was the 2 car. I was pushing them pretty good and getting them snugged up against the leader's car. And I knew if I just stayed there and just kind of get past the second, third car in the bottom lane, I would be decent, have a good finish. So I just kind of sat there and waited. And like I said, I think it was Dustin that was behind me. I had a good shot to get below and probably get below them, but I was just too tucked up underneath them, and so I just stayed where I was. Wasn't trying to wreck anybody for a finish, just trying to get where I could salvage. And coming out with a third place win, or not win, but I'd take it as a win. But coming out as a third place finish, I feel like in my first race at this track, I think, well, not at this track with these guys though, but I think that's a big statement for me, a statement for my team. Like, hey, like we're here, so. I'm looking forward to get going with these guys. I know we got a couple more good races up, so I just want to thank you guys for your broadcast and everybody else who puts us on. I want to give a special shout out Elliot Henderson. He helps me on the side. I've been trying to get better at this. I started out in the dirt leagues, and now I'm trying to get in asphalt, and he's been a big help.
Well, that is certainly great to be able to thank him, and certainly another big thank you, I'm sure, is to the sponsor that's on your hood there. And speaking of that, since you're the new guy, I heard the new guy has to bring the beer to the after party. Isn't that what you heard, Rev?
That is in the rules. It's simply unwritten and invisible, but it is in the rules.
Well, I actually messed up my paint, so technically my sponsor is Dirt 2 Media. Great guy down in Indiana. He does a lot of micro racing in Dirt World, but that's my actual sponsor, Dirt 2 Media. I just so happened with the new update, I messed up. I made a paint, but I didn't put it as my racing paint on iRacing. But
oh no.
If we ever meet in person, beer's on me, boys.
Well, that sounds great. Certainly, you're not the only one today. A real heartache for so many people with their paint schemes. And Rev was telling us how much he had to adjust everyone's paint schemes today. And I'm sure he didn't get everything done that he wanted to. But hey, congratulations, Briar. Fantastic run in your debut. Certainly on these ovals, we're going to be looking for your name up here in the top 3 once again.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And thanks again for the broadcast, guys. I can't wait to watch back.
My pleasure. Good luck with the rest of the season, my friend.
Thank you. You guys have a good rest of your night. And Raven, thanks for doing Race Control. We all appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too, my friend. So that was Briar Fritz, brand new to the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. And I mean, what an amazing debut. That's how you want to do it. Come up here, make your name known. Hopefully don't cause too many people to get angry with you, and also definitely try to get that paint scheme, because you never know when you're going to be on camera and having the podium and getting all that screen time. So in the meantime, it is time to welcome in the second place finisher of the night. This guy, he was up and down through the order there in the third stage, but Stephen Borbell, welcome to the broadcast. Congratulations. You're bringing the awareness on the hood. And also, you had one stellar race working with your teammate there, Gavin Rogers.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great time working with Gavin for most of the race, even when we got shuffled back a little bit, because we wanted to take that outside line just to save the tires a bit. We stuck together throughout mainly the whole race. It was unfortunate that Adam couldn't be up there with us, but he did soldier back for an 11th place, which was good for him from the early incident, but overall a great team run.
Yeah, and we were, of course, all over that with Adam being down a couple of laps and then ending up on the lead lap. I honestly did expect that he was going to get up in the top 5 somehow. But talk us through those last few laps. That was very exciting. You were running nose and tail with Ronnie Norman and Richard Wolsifer. Was there any communication between you and Gavin talking about strategy, just stay on the outside lane? Was there ever a point where you guys thought about maybe chopping down and trying to take that lead away from Ronnie Norman? Or was it just, let's stay on the outside, let's hold this momentum?
Well, I don't know, what was it, about 10 to go? We had a 2.5 second gap on fourth on back with running 1, 2, 3 with Ronnie, and Ronnie just wanted to break up our momentum and side draft us. I guess he knew he didn't have help if it was just us 3, so he tried to slow us down and brought us back to the other pack. But there at the end, Gavin and I had just talked that the tires were starting to wear, and we realized that the outside line was just faster, especially on the wear, people coming up a little bit here and there, and we were able to hold our own and side draft anyone that got beside to hold them off. So that was really the plan. I mean, I don't remember looking out the front, the windshield for the last 20 laps. I was watching the mirror the whole time and protecting Gavin and just following where he went. And I don't know, we cut it down to the inside on the last lap on the backstretch or so, and we felt comfortable there.
Well, certainly your breast cancer awareness sponsor on the hood, and we talked about that all night long. I know it means a lot to everybody who's out there racing, because everybody knows somebody who's been affected by breast cancer. And but also you're carrying the blue for Bill Hales. So bringing a lot of awareness out there, just give you a chance to talk about what that means to you.
Definitely. And Gavin and I were just talking at the end of the race. It kind of brought a tear to my eye of seeing him sport Rev's mom on his car and bringing home the victory. And I had Bill Hales on my car and coming home in second place, and even Adam with Jeanette Stone on his car. We all got together for this great cause, and I was so glad to see everyone who participated. It was awesome. Really warmed my heart. And I mean, here as a league, we are a family, and it came and showed it.
Certainly. Rev?
No, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing, because we did a lot of us talked about specific things, and I mean, I'm proud of Steven, because he put out this beautiful car. All of the guys that put out a car tonight for breast cancer really kind of hit home for me, obviously, because of my mother. I know Adam, because I guess that's his mother-in-law, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And you know, you've got Bill, who's a racer with us, on the side of your car. You know, hockey fight, I fight for Bill Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
And, just it's magical what friends can do, and then bring others into that. So I mean, at the end of the day, this is one of those things where even Adam, Gavin, they all make me a very proud person to be here. I'm just a small, tiny part of this larger group of friends we are.
But we wouldn't be here without you, Rev.
No, love you too.
So much happiness behind the scenes here at the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Such a great group. And Steven, of course, I appreciate you updating those graphics every week, but so much that everyone else does behind the scenes just to keep this running. Great group, a lot of admin duties. Everybody splits it up. But certainly this great awareness campaign has really come through here. And anyway, congratulations. Great second place run. And great run for Next Level Motorsports. Anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to before we roll on tonight?
Thank you. And yeah, just a big shout out to the team. Gavin on another victory. Keeps running away with the points. But quick shout out to my fiance, who recently just passed her national boards exam for veterinary medicine. So very proud of her. And also a quick shout out to my best friend who's getting married next week. Very excited to see where his marriage takes him. And obviously all my family and friends that are achieving their goals and supporting me each week. I appreciate each and every one of y'all.
Well, lots of thank yous and lots of good people out there supporting all of us, and we appreciate it. And Steven, good luck with the rest of the season. I don't know if you can do anything to challenge your teammate there, Gavin, for the regular season championship, but at least give him a run for his money, all right?
Oh, I definitely will be.
So siphon some of his gas next time.
I've got a strategy for him next week, so he'll be running off on us.
We'll certainly look forward to that. Good luck with the rest of your season, Steven.
Appreciate it, guys.
So that is Steven Borbell, who manages to hold on to second place. And with that, that is going to give us a chance to talk to the guy that, once again, has stolen the entire weekend. He took pole position, he took the first stage, he took the second stage, and he took the race win. And I tell you, it didn't look for sure that you were going to take any of those stage victories, let alone the final victory. But Gavin, what a heck of a run at a very difficult track. Congratulations on another win here in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series.
Man, thank you. That was a very special win. I had Rev's mother's name on the car for the breast cancer awareness race tonight. I know this is probably a big win for them. Very emotional, but you know, I really didn't think that was going to happen at all. It was very shocking. I personally didn't think I was able to get the pole, at least when after last week. We just never, we could never figure anything out for qualifying, but we figured something out in one of the practices, and me and Steven, I believe, got 1-2 or at least 1-3 for the start. But especially getting those stages and the win, it's just shocking, to say the least.
Well, it's all about being able to, I mean, I know that this is a long championship, which includes the playoffs, but the regular season championship means a lot too. And for you to be able to put some extra points by getting both of those stages and the final victory over Ronnie Norman has got to mean a lot. Now, talk us through the end of this race and the real strategy that played out. We heard a little bit from Steven about how you guys wanted to hold out and try and stay on that outside lane. But what was going through your mind as you're running side by side with Ronnie Norman? The back pack is starting to close in on you guys. The next thing you know, he's got Richard Wolsifer up there pushing him. You got just under 5 laps to go. What is it going to take for you to get the race victory here tonight?
Yeah, when we knew we got spread out, we knew Ronnie wasn't. We knew that he couldn't really do anything with the two of us in front of him, pulled away from the pack. So he was trying to break us up, slow us down to get that pack caught up. Very smart move on him. Props to that. But me and Steven were just, once he was trying to get to our outside, we knew we didn't want that to happen, because once he started doing that, we knew that the pack would have probably followed him, or at least tried to go the outside if me and him were both on the bottom. And that side draft when you're on the bottom is just really strong. So we got to the top and let Ronnie try to pass us on the bottom. We had some good momentum when the pack caught us, so we could kind of stay side by side and was able to maintain it. And just the teamwork honestly has been incredible with these two guys lately, Steven and Adam. I know he got caught up in a wreck early on, and he was able to get to the lead lap towards the middle end part of the final stage, and just couldn't get up to the front. And I know how frustrating that can be. It's been his luck at these places for a couple races lately, and just hope he can get back. I know he's fast enough. We'll see what we can do next week, but yeah, just that teamwork is really the main key in trying to run that top line, so the side draft doesn't affect us too bad.
Well, it was a stellar race from yourself, as you said. You didn't expect to necessarily get pole, but you did. A track like this where drafting is key, did you feel like that was a huge factor out there tonight at a super speedway-esque type track? Was it a little bit more drafting than you had bargained for, or was it just the right amount?
It was about how I expected it. It's just how it handled was a little bit worse. It was a little bit tighter than what I've been used to here. It's just they have the setup on this thing real slow, so we're running about 170 at best by ourselves, and in a pack we can't even get close to 200. I don't think so. Definitely was able to keep us all grouped up and get in the pack. We couldn't really, lift much in the corners, especially when I had clean air. There was no way of lifting. But yeah, it's just how it goes. I'm not a huge fan of how it drives at the moment. I wish they could make something that's a little bit easier to handle, especially with how slow it is. It should be able to handle better than that, but it is what it is.
Anybody that you would like to thank for this run to the front tonight?
Yeah, first off, just want to shout out Rev and his mom. I know this means a lot to them, so glad I was able to get the win for them. And shout out to everyone out there who's struggling with breast cancer awareness. We're doing this to spread some joy to you guys and give you guys that hope to get through it. I also want to shout out both my teammates, Adam and Steven. We've all done such a great job together. Just so happy to have those guys on board. Shout out to all of our sponsors, Sundance Pizza, Idealist, Trivista, and Buttkicker. Shout out to all the fans watching, all my family, all the friends, and last but not least, you guys for the broadcast. You guys have still been impressing us so much. You guys have done such a great job.
Well, certainly we appreciate the shout out from you, but Rev, it must have meant a heck of a lot for you tonight to see Rev Mama on board the race winning machine from Gavin Rogers.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Gavin. You know that means a lot to me, my mother, the rest of my family, and to see her name on the car, it was a little different to see it tonight versus the pictures. So Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Well,
we love you, buddy.
One final note that'll leave us before Gavin, you hop off the air with us. 1 in 8 women in the U.S. will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. In 2023, an estimated 300,000 women and 2,800 men will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. Chances are you know at least one person, but there is hope. The 5-year relative survival rate is 99%. So thank you for bringing the awareness that you did. You got it in a big way with Hope on the hood. You got breast cancer awareness on the side. But thanks to you and your teammate and everyone else here in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series for bringing that type of awareness to everybody tonight.
Absolutely.
So congratulations on that win. We'll see you again back here next Tuesday trying to defend that championship lead, my friend.
Appreciate it, guys.
That
Take care, Gavin.
that is Gavin Rogers. He's done it again. What an amazing race here, Rev. I'm running out of superlatives for Gavin. He seems to have shaken off whatever was keeping him from getting those big runs and big wins earlier in this season. Now he's taken a couple in a row, and he doesn't seem to be looking back.
I think he's just got a little bit more focus because the reality of not being able to finish where he wanted to finish had kicked in, and here we are, looking back and seeing several wins in the win column for him. So,
well, some racers, they like to race from behind. They like to some racers like to race from up front, winning all the time. Certainly some racers like Gavin, it seems he's got to be set back a little bit before he gets that charge up, and then look out, there he is.
That's a motivational factor, and that very well could be what we saw here so far this season.
Hey, Rev, next week we're going to Kern County. What do you expect there?
I expect a fairly clean race towards the end. I think a lot of the drivers who won't be putting in practice during the week may give us a little bit more of a handful than we would really like to have. But I think if they can put in some decent laps this week in practice, I think we could have a very clean race. Like I said, depending on the setup, depending on the amount of practice.
Well, we'll look forward to that. And, of course, hopefully everybody will be joining us next week on Tuesday night, same time, 9 p.m. Make that 8:55 p.m. Eastern time right here. It'll be myself, Trevor Greenfield, and perhaps it'll be Rev. Perhaps it'll be somebody else in the booth besides us. But, Rev, thanks for all that you do behind the scenes here as race control and helping out the league. And, of course, a big shout-out to everybody who got those great paint schemes in there tonight, and all of the other admins here that make BRB Buttkicker Cup Series work out.
Yeah, well, thank you, and to all your viewers, thank you guys for watching tonight, because it makes a big difference to these guys that are out there on that track driving every week for you.
Well, with that, I'm going to sign off. I'm Trevor Greenfield. It's been a pleasure. Gavin Rogers, your winner here tonight. Stephen Borbell, second place, and Briar Fritz, the newcomer, able to take third. We hope we'll see you next week from Kern County. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone. So long.